EVR is back, now with updated MP4 new Actros sounds compatible with Fmod 1.37. Let's go and take it for a ride. Hey guys, Clumsy here and welcome back to ETS2. I have been looking forward to this day. EVR back and now in the Fmod world. Let's go ahead and hear how it sounds. Cannot get any crisper than that. Juicy. Goodness. I love all the details that are included. All the sounds that I probably won't even be able to recognize and distinguish, but they're all there somewhere, buried deep within the package. Phew. Let's go inside the truck. I'll explain what mods I have enabled. I'll also try and link them in the video description. Give some details in the full list as always. Mods list link is in the video description. Windows are working. Now for EVR sounds, I think it's best if you keep the windows either fully closed or just slightly ajar like that. But I like the feeling of this cab, like that fully insulated feeling where everything is muffled and you have complete access and uninterrupted hearing of the interiors, because my goodness, the switches, the actual indicators, everything. Even the gear shifting. All the switches you can think of. And even the wipers have their own sounds. Oh, the horn. I haven't tested yet. Oh, not bad. Not bad at all. Love it. Alright. For today, we will be driving from Italia. From Alitalia, actually. Alitalia cargo to... what was that? But we are driving from Italy, from Genova to Toulouse. In Alitalia to... Oh, I hope it's still here. Well, I guess it won't show here anymore. But that's where we're coming from. And I do have a mod for that with realistic companies. Semi-realistic companies. Oh, that's a nice detail there. Didn't focus too much on that. The switch of the parking brake and that little beep there. Very nice. Attention to detail. And you might be wondering why I only featured EVR sounds now when it's been out for like a week or so. Well, unfortunately, there was in my opinion, a game-breaking bug in the initial release. You might have encountered it if you tried it for yourself. I remember in our previous stream last week or 2 weeks ago, we encountered that and we had to stop because the sounds were actually cutting off. If you were driving like this normally, suddenly as your engine revs up, as you shift to a higher gear, suddenly the sounds would just disappear for a second or so, and then it would be back. But the effect was that super unnatural feeling, and then EVR was directly at the issue and he was troubleshooting it for quite some time, and then he figured out eventually that it was caused by some kind of limitation, I guess, on the Fmod audio engine, the sound engine, in that he had too many sounds in there. So basically, his sounds were too detailed that the engine itself, the sound engine itself, cannot handle all that level of detail. And so some of the sounds were cutting off when there was like traffic. Because you can imagine trucks, our truck has its own sounds, the traffic has its own sounds, and if you add those up together with all the sounds coming from EVR's truck sounds, then it's just kind of overloading the system. And it's resulting to a very that cut-off problem, and so I couldn't feature it because I was not willing to turn off the traffic sounds, you know. As amazing as EVR sounds are, completely getting rid of the traffic sounds was a no-go in my opinion, because that's like the main feature that the SCS was very proud of, right? In 1.37, switching to Fmod and improving the traffic sounds, the Doppler effect and all that stuff. But now with that in place, with that bug, then you couldn't really do that anymore. Right, so we are here. Is there an autopass somewhere? A telepass there is. Right lane. But thankfully, that is now gone, as you can see. As you can hear, rather. You hear all the traffic, and you hear EVR sounds goodness in perfect quality without the cutting off. And we are on a ride, a trip. It's going to be 800 kilometers, mostly on the highway, I think. So we'll have a lot of chances to just explore and enjoy. So this is with fully windows closed. Let me open it a little so we can hear more of the engine. But I personally think I like this better, the muffled, very subtle sounds. I'll keep it a bit like this as we accelerate on the highway. Oh yeah, it has engine braking sounds as well. Very unique sounds. Kind of like it. Hear the engine as it revs up. And if you want the full volume, let's go fully windows down. I'll keep quiet for a bit. Beautiful. Especially when we went through the tunnel. Love it. But for me though, in this particular combination, I think with how modern the truck is and how the engine sounds like, I think it feels more modern if it's a bit more muffled like this, that you don't feel the full brunt of the engine, but you can hear it subtly in the background as it builds up and as you build up speed and as the engine works for you. I think it's a perfect combination like this. How about you guys? Which window setting are you most fond of in this kind of environment? Let me know in the video comments down below. Now let's go and jump into the mods I have enabled. I think this guy is... Yeah, that guy was just pulling out and didn't even mind me at all, and I couldn't swerve left because there were cars as well. Just attribute that to wonky AI. Anyway, so onto the mods I have enabled. Let's first start with a truck. This truck is by Shumi. thankfully he released already a 1.37 compatible version of his truck, and this is coupled with Sogard 3's low deck variant. So this is actually a low deck variant that I have. You might have noticed it in the external camera a while ago as I was showing off the exterior of the truck in the beginning of the video. So that is actually Shumi's truck plus Sogard 3's low deck variant. And then we have the trailer, this aerodynamic, super futuristic looking trailer at the back. I'll show you a bit later. Let's get some speed reduction in here using the engine brake and the retarder coupled together. So the trailer is that futuristic looking thing. Can't even see the tires. It's being covered by the, I don't know what you call that. My goodness, it feels like it's just floating, right? Super modern look. Even the back, look at all those curves. It looks like it's it looks like something you would see in a sci-fi movie. Wow. Is that really like in the market now, or is that like more of a concept design? I guess it's more the latter. Oh my goodness, this is so good. The bridges of Italy. Can't go wrong with that. So good. Alright, so truck Shumi, low deck, Sogard 3, aerodynamic trailer. Oh, I forgot the name. I think it's AM is the acronym of his name, but everything should be in the video description and in the mods list anyway. So I'm just pointing this out bit by bit to add additional context, in case you want to drive with this as well. And then the dashboard is also different, as you might have noticed. That is from NFSHP or Oscar. This is in the Steam Workshop available, dashboard. So that should make it more realistic and more accurate looking, I guess. Although, to be honest, I'm not really sure how a real new Actros or a real MP4 dashboard looks like. Speaking of MP4, why didn't I go with the MP5? I featured the MP5 a couple of weeks back, if you guys remember. And we are now in France, and now we can go up to 90 kilometers per hour. So in the MP5, as great as it was looking, it was a bit buggy, wasn't it? Like the speed was off. You had to switch your language to Turkish so that the speedometer, digital speedometer, would show you the right values, things like that. Slow down here. Oh my goodness, that is so beautiful. Just coast along here. Oh, I think I'd want to take a shot there. So yeah, it was a bit buggy, unfortunately. As cool as the rear cam was, and the very modern looking dashboard. Is there a... Oh, there is actually a toll gate. Surprise, surprise. So as cool looking as it was a bit buggy. And I have been waiting for a bug fix update, but I don't think it has arrived yet. And I'm not sure if the mod author is planning on actually implementing those bug fixes. If you hear of anything about that, you let me know, okay? Because I would love to get back there. And with EVR Sounds, he now actually includes a definition folder in the package. So, EVR Sounds, it's payware, right? It's, how much? 199 euros or something like this. And before, when you purchase it, and until now, the file itself is locked. So you cannot edit it. You cannot get files from it. You cannot retrofit it. So if you wanted to make it available for other trucks, for example, this MP4 Sounds, if I wanted to make it available for the MP5, it would be very hard because I wouldn't have access. I wouldn't be able to open the archive, the mod file itself, the SCS file. But now he has added a definition folder. So if you are familiar with the file structure of the mods, you can easily then retrofit any truck to have these same sounds. And so what I'm planning is when the MP5 bug fix, when the MP5 is updated and works properly, then I will be using EVR sounds for that truck, because I think, can correct me if I'm wrong here, the MP5 should have the same engine, so essentially almost all the sounds should be the same as with the MP4. If you have any other info aside from that, you guys let me know. But yeah, that's the plan. But so far MP4 is the more stable version, so even though we don't have the rear cam, we can live with that as long as we have something more stable, and it looks as cool as heck anyway, thanks to all the mods that we have enabled. So yes, we'll be keeping this for the moment. Oh, and yes, the GPS, I'll probably get a question about that. The GPS is how do you say, it's not actually on purpose that I have that. It's a GPS mod, quote unquote, but it's actually part of Vadic's DAF-XF. If you remember, a few days ago I released a silent trucking video of the DAF-XF by Vadic, and so I have it enabled in my mods profile. Whoa, this is very sharp highway bend for a 90 km/h speed limit. Can I squeeze in? Thank you. Let's not crash it. There. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think that part there was a bit unrealistic. That stretch of bends there. It's a bit too sharp. Man, that looks so beautiful. Every time I go back here to France, the scenery just keeps on getting better. I don't know why. Looks so good. So this, I believe, should be part of France DLC already. That's my assumption. Not so sure though. But yes, the GPS, that background, like that white background with the seemingly like realistic map look, that is part of Vadic's truck. So it's not a separate GPS mod. As long as you have the DAF-XF 105 by Vadic enabled in your profile, you would have that kind of GPS background. Right? So that's just one tip for you guys if you want to replicate this exactly. For me, it's more of a side effect. I didn't plan that by design. One more thing I didn't plan initially. So as I was streaming the other day when we were doing the Genova, that guy's going to cut me. The Genova event. Thank you guys for hanging out with me there. Thank you for also your comments. Some useful comments I've gotten from the community. Thanks a lot. Learned a lot. Apparently there was a cutscene. After you've done a delivery to the Genova bridge, there should be a cutscene showing you the bridge under construction. And I didn't see it at all because I did not have my cutscenes enabled. So if you want to see it, make sure before you deliver. Wowzas! What train is that again? I remember that from the Transport Fever series. So cool. So fast. You have nothing against that train. Yep, probably going at around, I don't know, 160 kilometers or something per hour. My assumption. Anyway, so make sure you turn on your cutscenes before you deliver a job using the event, because it would not play otherwise. So like me, I finished the event already and I was not able to see the cutscene at all. I guess I could do one more job, but the thing is, it's not compatible with the cargo market. With the, you know, you would need like external contracts, right? But it has to be a freight market external contract. You cannot have your own trailer. And I really want to drive with this futuristic aerodynamic trailer. So I chose a different job instead. But anyway, so what was I saying? Of course I lost my train of thought. That's me. Oh, I still have the Echo gas station here. I'm trying out new Real Companies mod, also Real Gas Stations mod by I forgot his name, NH I think, Nihua or something like that, but it should be in the mods list. It is better in terms of replacing the companies in the DLC areas, because like previously I was only having Pro Mods trailer in company pack, and it was great, but it was not touching the other DLC areas yet, like Baltic or Black Sea areas or companies. It was not replacing them with real companies. So this one I'm using is replacing those. The problem is the guy behind this, I'm going to call him Nihua, probably wrong, but somewhere around that point. The problem is he doesn't delve into Blender. So if there's like a 3D model that needs to be modified, he's not touching it. And unfortunately, that Echo, that hatest gas station of mine, that green Echo thing, needs to be modified using a 3D model using Blender. So he's not able to change that. That's where the Pro Mods trailer and company pack shines, because I think they do replace that, as far as I'm aware. Not exactly sure, but yeah, we'll have to weigh. How about you guys? Which Real Company, Real Gas Stations mod do you have enabled? I'm sure you have other options that you're using. But yes, going back to the stream, so you told me about the cutscenes. Thanks for that. I might do one again, maybe when I get back there, but this one first. And the other comment that you gave was actually I was using a different sound pack. Well, we were driving the Volvo FH back then, and I was using the sounds from Grishboom. The stock sounds version 3.0, Volvo FH stock sounds from Grishboom. And that was great. That was working. Oh, this looks so good. I think this is thanks to Files Trees. Yes, Files Trees is also something I have enabled. So, the package by Grishboom, adding the sounds, he also had a separate file which changes the air shifting, the gear shifting sounds, as well as the air brakes. And I enabled that, but I didn't know that in the stream last week, even though I was driving with the Volvo FH and Grishboom's truck sounds, that the gear shifting sounds and the air brakes were not actually the one coming from his other add-on package. Because apparently now it's a bit tricky with the gear shifting sounds. I think so far our modders have not figured out a way how to make the gear shifting sounds per truck. So right now it's if you replace the sounds, it will affect all the trucks that you have. Yeah, so it's universal. It's a bit crappy why SCS made it that way, but I guess there is a way to make it per truck. We just have not figured that out, and SCS has not provided guidance on how to do that yet. That's why Grishboom had to separate his gear shifting sounds as a separate file, because it would replace all the sounds from all your other trucks as well. And that was what was happening for me. So if you have the Ford F-Max, remember what's the team behind it? Simulation Turk team are responsible for the Ford F-Max, and it's raining again, of course, and they updated their Ford F-Max for 1.37. They also updated the sounds. Apparently they also added their own gear shifting and air brake sounds. So that was apparently what I was using for all my other trucks, and I didn't know. Because I remember I was noticing my gear shifting sounds were a bit different than the usual ones. They're actually very different. I liked it, but it was different. And apparently I was able to finally figure it out. I looked into the files, each one of the mods I had, and yeah, I found that the Ford F-Max was changing the gear shifting sound. So even though I had the gear shifting sounds from Grishboom, I guess it's not a matter of load order. I guess it is, but it's the opposite. The first one that loads is the one that gets used. I don't really understand it so much yet. But basically, what happened is even if I had Krishboom's gear shifting sounds enabled, I was hearing the gear shifting sounds from the Ford F-Max truck. So I'm not really sure how that works. So I had to remove the Ford F-Max truck for now if I'm driving another truck, so the sounds don't mix. And I think it's the same here again. So now I have EVR sounds for the MP4. When I switched to the Volvo FH, and I tried that already, the gear shifting in the air brakes, they are being overwritten. So I can only hear MP4 sounds for the gear shifting, regardless of which truck I'm using. It's a bit confusing, and I'm not sure why it was designed that way. I'm hoping that it's possible to separate that per truck, but I'm not sure why our modders have not been doing that if it was possible. If it was possible, I'm sure they would have figured it out already. So maybe SCS has to do something on their end to allow that again, because it would be pretty crappy, especially if you are switching from like a modern to a classic truck or vice versa. Then your gear shifting probably wouldn't be matching. Like you have an old school, I don't know, air shifting sounds or whatever. Don't ask me about the details, I'm very noobish at this. But yeah, you could be getting your gear shifting sounds from like a 1950s truck, and then suddenly decide you want to drive the MP5 or this MP4 or the Volvo FH 2012, and then suddenly you would have still the old school gear shifting sounds. So yeah, you have to be more mindful of which mods you have enabled at the moment. It's not anymore as simple as having all the truck sounds and they would not be overwriting each other because they would be for different trucks anyway. Now, to be clear, in general, that's the way it works for all the basic engine sounds. So that's easier now with Fmod. That, like, for example, this EVR sounds, this would be unique to the MP4, and it would be very easy to separate and not overlap, not overwrite each of the sound modes that you have. That's generally true for the truck sounds, except for some of the, I guess, common sounds you could call it, like the gear shifting. And so I hope that they add something for it and they fix that eventually. But now I think I know that there is that issue or limitation at the moment. So I removed Ford F-Max, I removed the gear shifting sounds from Krishboom for the Volvo FH. So now everything you're hearing should be, but I am not 100% sure here, should be from EVR's sound pack. I'm sure that's true for the engine itself, and for the switches, and for the gear shifting. But for the air brakes, I'm not 100% sure. So you guys let me know if you can distinguish it better, okay? But that's what my assumption will be. At this point, everything you're hearing is from the EVR MP4 archive or package. Looks good, right? We keep it as it is. But yeah, I've been enjoying driving again, and that's mainly thanks to the event. Usually I would not find so much of a purpose, or how do you say, I don't drive so much offline anymore. I drive mainly when I'm recording or when I'm streaming with you guys, but offline I hardly drive. But that changed thanks to the World of Trucks event, the Operation Genoa Bridge. So I was able to complete the event now, and I did all of the other 6 jobs. So the first 6 jobs we did during the stream. The other 6 jobs I finished offline, and I really enjoyed myself. It's quite different experience, you know. just driving for the sake of driving. Why the heck did that guy just stop? Because I am in the wrong lane apparently. Whew, close call. Thank goodness the MP4 has very powerful brakes. So yeah, it's quite a nice feeling, you know, being able to drive, just relaxing, listening to podcasts, and just looking at the road ahead. Because the main problem with driving while recording or streaming, as great as it is to share stuff with you guys, is of course my attention is more divided. Because for example, when I'm reading chat, then I have to look to the right, I can't look on the road, and that's one of the main sources of accidents. That's why they say don't text and drive, right? Don't read and drive in my case. But yeah, that's something we have to live with while streaming. And yes, I'm going to blame all the accidents I've been in with that in that context. But yeah, it's great, you know, not having to like speak or share my thoughts, and just it's kind of very meditative, you know. It's kind of like a meditation in a way, just driving and tuning everything out, and just it's the road in front of you and I guess all the other cars on the road, but having that calming effect, you know, that's I guess one of the main reasons that I got into truck sim in the first place. Aside from the cool factor of configuring your own truck and enjoying the roads and sightseeing, it's the relaxing aspect of it that really gets me. And I guess that's also what's hooking a lot of the other players in the community, the relaxing factor. Yeah, nowadays I'm not anymore so much into that adrenaline pumping action, you know, like the shooters or the racing games, and they're cool, I have nothing against them. They're just not for me anymore, you know. They don't excite me as much, or maybe they excite me too much. It's not something I enjoy anymore, basically. What I enjoy are these relaxing, very chill vibe games or simulators where you learn a lot as well in the process, and that's just icing on the cake. It's super relaxing, you learn a lot from it, you get to share a lot of these stuff with other people, you guys, you know, sharing in a very active community, and it's just amazing. Yeah, I'm happy to be driving offline, having that time to myself and just reflect. But at the same time, I'm also enjoying these types of drives where I can speak with you and I can share my thoughts. Because these ones don't happen very often nowadays, do they? You see a lot more of the silent trucking videos, which I'm sure some of you guys like better. But some of you guys, I think, have been craving for more commentaries, so I try to make that from time to time. It's just a bit more difficult these days because of the lockdown and the work from home aspect. So me and Mrs. Clumsy are both in the house, and so we have to balance our time, you know. We have to align more so that I don't record while she's having calls, and I don't record while it's our quality time, you know, things like that. So it's a bit harder to manage the timing, but we're finding a way. We're getting used to it bit by bit. Is this where we're going? No, it's not. Stay here. Lovely, right? I think this is the window. Toulouse, that's the one. That's our exit. So how about you guys? What have you been doing? How has your life been these past few weeks? Well, months now, I guess, huh? Very, very different. Officially, here in Singapore, we're not in lockdown anymore. So we can technically go out of the house already. But I'm just still paranoid, you know. I'm paranoid in a couple of different things. First, of course, is the virus. Because even though the situation is, I would say, controlled here in Singapore now, and it's safer to go outside, there's still, of course, a risk. And if I don't really need to go out of the house, I probably wouldn't want to. That's why I've been in the house literally for the past month, I guess, or more. I have not stepped out of the house. But the farthest I've gotten is maybe inside the compound, you know, getting my mail, getting deliveries, but mostly I've just been in the house. And even now, when I can actually go out now legally, I still don't want to. Just to be on the safe side. Because even though we can go out, it's still a bit, how do you say, restricted. You have to wear a mask. I'm not even sure if we can go out, me and Mrs. Clumsy, if we can go out together already, or if we go out, we have to be like keep ourselves separate still, because there is still social distancing rules. And I'm not sure if that is distinguished between like household members. I know there was a time that they did not want more than one person going out of the house. Like, if you need to go out, find a representative and they do all the stuff needed outside and they go back. Now, I think, I'm not sure if that's still the case, but I just don't want to risk it, you know. And I mean, the gyms are still closed, so mostly I just go out for going to the gym and buying groceries. But now the groceries part I can do at home. Online groceries is the thing. And the gym, I can somewhat work out at home as well. Very limited manner, very limited space, and very hard sometimes to find the discipline. But we are struggling, we are getting there. So we're getting by. Hope you guys are okay as well. But yeah, I'm just missing these kinds of episodes where I can spend time with you guys and just share my thoughts. And I can do this as well in the streams, but not to this extent, because with the streams usually it's like more of a dialogue, right? Here it's more of a that's my hatest, that echo thing. This is if I were to avoid France, that's the only reason why I hate seeing those gas stations. They look so fake. Like, I could do that, and I'm not even an expert in design, and I could manage that logo pretty much. Okay, let's just coast here. Let the speed bleed off on its own naturally. Oh, it looks like the rain is letting off. Looks like the weather is turning. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you. I'm loving those very subtle sounds of the truck. You know, it doesn't like scream at you, and it's amazing that way. It doesn't need to scream at you to show you the details. Because some people attribute the greatness of the quality of sound mods by their volume. I don't really agree with that. And the great modders, great sound modders, can make amazing quality sounds without needing to blast the volume all the way up. And I think EVR Sounds right here is a perfect example of that. My favorite part about EVR Sounds are the switches and the indicators, you know, everything in the interior, which is like everything you spend on like 90%, more than 90% of the time you are inside the truck. And so hearing all these interior sounds is like one of the major things for me. And EVR just does that so well. The truck sounds are just as good. But since I'm pretty ignorant about the truck sounds in general, I can't even distinguish them. So for me, I am appreciating more the interior sounds. And we have some other talented modders out there who do great sound mods. And in terms of the truck sounds, they could be at par with EVRs. They are all on that top level, I would say. But with the interior sounds, I would say EVR is at the top of his game. No question about it. The engine itself, that might be a bit more like even footing with other sound modders. And I'm sure some people would argue they like some other people better, like Krishboom or Zmod. So we have very talented modders out there. But yeah, the interiors, I would say hands down, EVR all the way. But yeah, it's just amazing how we have these very talented, very hard-working modding community giving us this quality sound mods to fill that gap that SCS left. And I'm sure I'm not alone when I say that the Fmod engine upgrade is very appreciated, but SCS dropped the ball on that one. I mean, the update itself is great. They implemented it very well in terms of moving to the new engine, new sound engine, but they dropped the ball on actually implementing the truck sounds. They didn't re-record them, they didn't remix them, or maybe they did remix them, but in my opinion, they still suck. They suck very bad. Unfortunately, the default sounds are not good, in my opinion. And I'm sure in many other people's opinion as well. And this is why everybody is so excited about these sound mods, you know? The worse. The more bad, the worse something is with regard to the default game, the more there is demand for mods, which makes sense, right? And the worse a thing is, the more there will be modders who will take up the mantle, pick up the slack, or whichever figure of speech you want to go with it. And that's why you see all of these sound mods popping up. Krishboom, EVR, Zmod, and now we have Trailfan, we have Max, we have I'm seeing a lot of people, a lot of new people in the sound mods forum threads, and that's great. They're releasing a lot and they're learning a lot. The quality is increasing bit by bit. And of course we have our favorites. For me, my favorites are EVR, Krishboom, and Zmod. When it comes to ATS, American Truck Sim, my favorite is Zmod, no doubt. When it comes to ETS, it's a very close call between Krishboom and EVR, depending on their works. But it's good that they actually like work on different trucks, right? Because it's a win. Like when I'm driving the Actros, I'm going with EVR. When I'm driving the Volvo, I go with Krishboom. And eventually they would overlap, but thankfully now they're still covering all the trucks separately, so it's a win for everybody. That looks, oh, that's not the one. Sorry about that. Confusing. There you go. Oh, that's very nice. Is this actually an airport we're delivering to? Yes, it is. That is surely a fin of a plane. And yeah, the company is actually like Air France, KLM, Cargo, like the alliance, the group of airlines together with Air France. So from Alitalia Cargo to Air France Cargo, something along those lines. But yeah, it's still a bit inconsistent, you can see. Well, actually, that's correct, I think. That's Air France, right? Yeah, that is thanks to the real company's mod that I have enabled by Nihao. I think it's Nihao. Yes, I was remembering it's around NH. It's like Chinese or Japanese. Ni hao. Now I remember. Better late than never. Second, is that entire right side blinking? It is, isn't it? That orange thing. Oh, that's so cool. I was wondering what that orange bar was for. Well, wouldn't mistake it when it's turning at least. Super cool trailer. I'm sure it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's a bit too futuristic for some people, but it's nice to mix it up every now and then. Classic truck here, a super modern futuristic truck there. It's a great balance. And just like that, we're here. Can you imagine? Thanks to the beautiful highways in France and Italy, we have arrived in our destination in around 45 minutes, covering 800 kilometers, more or less. Hear that crispness. Oh, let's simulate this. Lowering the window before peeking out. Unfortunately, with Track IR, there is no option to block that. There's no default option. I know in the RoX forums, they have been thinking of ways how to work around that limitation. To limit the visibility, the range of motion of your head. If your windows are closed. But they're a bit too hardcore for me. I'd rather just roleplay it, keep my head inside if my windows are closed. It's very tricky. Yeah, it's a bit misleading, a bit confusing reversing this trailer because you can't see the tires. I don't know, I guess I base the angle of the trailer more than I know based on how those tires are facing. And now that I can't see them at all, it's very tricky. Good. Well, that's job well done. Not sure if we damaged the trailer at any point. We did crash into a truck, or rather a truck crashed into us. But that I put solely on his fault. There we go. Excellent. 806 kilometers. No damage in the end. I'll take it. Thank you very much. Alright. So, and let me show again the truck before we end. That is the low deck variant from Sogard 3. And I'm using some small tires there for the low profile. I'm actually not sure if the trailer is fully compatible, but I guess it's working. There is like seemingly a large gap there between the kingpin and the fifth wheel. If you see that where the truck and trailer connect. Not sure if that's normal, but we didn't crash, didn't get unnecessary damage, so I would say it works. Right? Alright, anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and comment. Looking forward to that discussion with you. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Clumsy Trucking, and nice to be back with these commentaries. I'll probably do a silent trucking video for you silent trucking fans out there with this truck and combo. Thanks for watching and have a nice day, guys. Clumsy Trucking. Bye-bye.